Hello, sweet friends, and welcome to my channel, Crafting with me, Indiana Jones, and welcome to the weekend. It's Friday night, so let's enjoy a soft, quiet evening as we craft with beer, burlap, wine, and whimsy. This collaboration is hosted by Brandy of Making It My Own DIY, Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, and Jody at Southern Seasons, and of course myself. Join us all as we come up with inspirations that you can get from the winery or the brewery, whatever is your choice. Let's get started. Oh, and of course, craft responsibly. Who could ask for? Now, I am sure you have received a bottle like this at one time in your life. I've had this wine bottle for years, when I tell you at least 15 years. And I decided to change it up. Now, I didn't want to paint it because I really do love the design of it, but I wanted to zhuzh it up a little bit. So let's grab some mop and glow. No, ladies, we're not going to clean the floors. We're going to glitter things up. And this is the best way to use mop and glow and anything that's glass or plastic or see-through. What you do is you make sure that you coat all of the inside of your vessel, whatever vessel that may be, with the mop and glow. And before it dries, dump all the glitter you possibly can into the bottle. Now, I'm using a mixture of champagne with a bit of a copper color. I just thought it would be pretty for fall. Yes, fall is just around the corner, and I want to start getting things ready for the fall. So there you can see, look at how beautiful it looks already. And it doesn't look like that regular bottle that you see in the wine store or anything. It's something very, very different. And I really love that handle. I kind of wish the handle was hollow so that I could fill the handle with glitter as well. But look at how beautiful. And there won't be any glitter fallout from this glitter design. I'm actually using a little bit of alcohol just to clean out the outside of this bottle, since there may have been some mop and glow that got stuck to the outside. But it's easy enough to shine it up, and look at how beautiful that is. Now let's start decorating with this beautiful bottle, especially for fall. I had this tool in my stash. Look at this beautiful olive green color, and of course it reminded me of like the white grapes. So I thought, oh my gosh, this would be so perfect. And again, that olive green color always reminds me of fall. I think it's such a beautiful color to decorate with. So I thought this would be the first layer of our little bow that we're creating here. Now I'm going to add this beautiful shabby chic ribbon to it as well. It has a velvety texture to it, and I love how frayed the edges are. And I'm just going to create a traditional little bow. And that's not enough. I had some of these molds already in my stash that I had made from one of the IOD molds and some resin, and now I'm just going to add this beautiful little cameo right to the middle of that bow. Now all I have to add is some foliage and florals that are very autumnal and fall, and we have a beautiful centerpiece for any fall decor. Now I have to thank my coworkers who always help me collect any kind of items that I need for crafting. And since we do have a lot of events at work, wine bottles, Prosecco bottles are very easy to come by. So they always help me out. So thank you so much, ladies. And this is for you. Anyway, I had this bottle once again in my stash. This is a Prosecco bottle, and I thought it would look so cute to create like a wine cask, a wine barrel at the bottom of it, and some vines. Now this is definitely one of those projects that you have to trust the process. No matter how it looks, just keep going forward. Now there was a little paw there. That was Luna adding a little bit of her cat magic to this project. She just wanted a piece of that foam clay for herself. The foam sheets, I should say, not foam clay. Now I'm taking the clay that I've measured out, and I'm just going to add some wood striations. I don't know what else to call it, but yes, to make it look woody. And all I'm doing is just dragging. Sometimes I drag a little razor, and sometimes I just drag the end of like one of those clay tools. You can also use what you use for the Cricut. And now I'm just adding a little bit more color. So I mixed a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, just to give it more dimension and just really make it look woodsy and old. And right there I was like, oh no, I made a mistake. Don't worry about it. Trust the process. Trust the process. So all I have to do here is just add some more brown and spread out the black, and it all works out in the end. The most important thing is to remember that, you know, the wood is natural and it has all different colors in it. So don't worry about it. Just keep going forward and add and take away, and you'll get there. You'll see. To truly make it look like a wooden wine barrel, try saying that 5 times, I cut out the planks from my faux wood, which is of course my foam sheets. Again, foam sheets like the ones that I used for my Halloween Christmas gingerbread witch's hat from last week. And here's a link right here so you can check that out. When you do this, of course, I'm going to suggest that you paint the sides of your wood plank as well, so they don't stand out, so the color doesn't stand out. And what I also did was I did paint the bottle so that the underneath where I'm gluing the planks, you won't see clear glass. You'll just see like the dark brown color that I put. And the top, I put a light brown color, painted the glass a light brown color. Now, I am using foam clay once again. I received this through Amazon. Look at all the wonderful colors, and it really helps to speed up the process to already have a foundation color. So I made all of these little grapes, and all I did was literally like cut them off and just roll little grapes. Plenty. I wanted to have at least 3 clusters of grapes on my glass bottle. What I'm doing here is, because it's this light purple color, it's pretty one-dimensional. So I mixed up a little bit of dark red, a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown, and that's going to really shade all of my grapes to be a little more natural. And I really like the way it came out, because the grapes, of course, look a little richer with that, you know, look at the difference, like with this deep burgundy color, because it makes sense to make, you know, your dark red wine. Now, I also made some little leaves, and I understand that they're oak leaves and not grape leaves, but I used the same mold that I used last week to create some leaves. Again, I'm using my colored foam clay, so it at least has a foundation color that will help me enhance the color of the little leaves. Now, I made this olive green color paint. I just mixed together some of the paint that I had and made a mess of myself and my nails. And this is how I colored all of the leaves so they would have a more natural look, and also so that it wouldn't clash with the grapes, now that the grapes are a more toned down, natural looking color. Now, once I have all my leaves ready, it's time to start gluing my grape clusters to the glass bottle. I got so excited to get done with this project that I literally glued all the planks, but it's just very simple. Just glue the wooden planks to the bottom part of your bottle so it looks like it's actually a barrel. Now I'm going to create, again, from the foam sheets, I'm going to create the metal belts that hold the bottle together, or hold, I should say, the wine barrel together. It's very easy to do. You just take some foam clay once again, and they do have silver foam clay if you want it that way, but if not, you can just paint it yourself like I did here, and it looks really, really nice. Now, I was hoping that I would get done with the rivets, but I forgot the rivets, to tell you the honest truth, and now that I'm looking at it, it would look cool on that silver to put some wine rivets. Now, of course, I'm making some vines. We need some vines from which these beautiful grapes are going to be hanging off of. So here I'm just putting my vines all over the top of this bottle. Now, I have to tell you, I painted the top of this bottle a lighter brown, like a beigey brown, and I went back in and I added a little bit of texture and a little variation of color so it wouldn't all look like, you know, just painted today. I wanted it to look like it's vines that are wrapping around, the side corner of a house or a cottage that's been there for hundreds of years already. So here are all my vines. Now let's start adding all of those wonderful looking grapes. Of course, they're the centerpiece, but they're not the only ones. Just in any kind of collaboration, it's always best to share together. So the vines go first, then we'll have the grapes, and then we'll add the leaves last. Now, I don't know if that's the correct procedure, but that's what I'm using today. If you use another organized way to craft, or do you just do it as it comes, as you're inspired, or do you follow a specific process with your projects and creations? I have to say, I did have a little bit of nostalgia playing with that colored clay and working on this project, because it reminded me somehow of being young in art class in New York City, where I grew up. And I remember when they would let us play with Play-Doh. Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. But like, I don't know, other kids were just squishing it around. I was like trying to make miniatures, believe it or not. Like, I would make miniature little cakes out of clay and stuff. It was really funny. So I guess that love continues, because as I am building this cute little cluster of grapes, I'm adding dimension, I'm adding color, and of course, just movement by the way these grapes are just hanging down. They look so nice. I hope you think they look really nice as well. So working off of the vine, I'm going to continue creating other little clusters of grapes that are going to be on this bottle. And I do want to note that the bottle itself, I tried to, of course I painted it first a basic color of beige, but then I went on and pounced different colorations like you would see in a crumbling little cottage somewhere near a vineyard. I think that would be so cool. So this part is funny, just adding grapes. And this is a great craft to do with your kids, because as long as you handle the glue gun, you can always have them make little grapes, bigger grapes. Remember, you don't have to keep them all the same size, because they don't come the same size in nature itself with the clusters of grapes, I'm sure. So have fun with this process. Share the time with somebody. Maybe this is a great way to just chit chat with a friend and catch up with them, or with your own son. So many different ways to not just craft, but make a more beautiful life for yourself and those around you. This truly would be a fun way to spend an evening, having a glass of wine and sharing with your friends. So yeah, plan this out. This is a great night in. Now, once I've finished adding all my leaves and my vines and my grapes, now I'm just going to do like a staining gel, just to like enrichen the color. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I always like to add a little staining gel, or if you have like an antique wax, that is good as well, because it does bring more richness to the coloring and everything. And this is just one more little step to make it even better. And at first I was just going to do the wood, and I'm like, what am I talking about? I think I should do this on everything. And there I'm just, using this staining gel everywhere, because I think it just enriches the whole tone of this project. Now afterwards, I'm going to use this clear clear coat, and it's a very glossy clear coat, and that really finishes off this project perfectly well. And I think you'll agree, it looks like something that you would find at one of those like upper level little boutiques or something. So again, this is a wonderful little idea for any kind of wine aficionado that you have in the family or as friends. I think they would really enjoy having this as part of their collection, and especially if it comes handmade from you. Now for this project, it's gonna be hard to not say it's not the cutest of the three today. I am so in love with this, and I want to sit here and make a whole bunch of these and make them as gifts for my friends. So what I am starting out with is it could be a paintbrush handle, whatever, and I'm going to create my own little wine glass. That's right, you heard me right, with UV resin from Let's Resin and a little bit of clear glue, believe it or not. Watch this. This is like magical, people. So I am trying to lower the viscosity that's right, big word, of the UV resin. And it takes that much, that little drop. Look at how it changes the viscosity of this resin. Why do I want to do this? Because I'm going to be rolling my my resin on that, look at that, on that paintbrush holder, or that silicone holder, because I need to rotate my little cup as it is hardened by the UV resin. If not, it's going to drip all over the place, and you'll see in just a minute how I added too much resin. And this has to be done in layers. So I added a little too much resin, and it did drip a little, but it's okay. I had enough. See how it dripped? Because I added too much, and it wasn't too viscous. Or it was too viscous, I should say. And adding that clear glue lowers the viscosity, so I can do things like this. So as you can see, I am just rolling. It's almost like, you watch, people who work with glass and they have to blow the glass. It's almost like that. You have to keep twirling it around. And as you can see, once the UV resin gets to those little drips and drops, it hardens, and I can just move it out of the way. Now, this was the hardest part, was removing the resin from that handle. And again, you saw how I put the saran wrap on the handle so that I am able to do that easily. Now, it was a little rough inside because the saran wrap wasn't perfectly laid out, but that's fine. It's just going to work fine. And now I had to even out the top of that little wine glass. Can you imagine? I'm creating my own little wine goblet. Now for the stand, I am using this Cachabon, I think it's Cachabon, molds, and just to add a little bit of to these earring molds, these UV resin earring molds, just a little bit of UV resin to create the stem of my wine glass. This is so much fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, now don't get mad at me. I had to take my gloves off for a moment. I had to first sand down the edges of the little glass, and I just wanted to coordinate and see how the pieces were going to add together. So really in this step, I wasn't using a lot of the glue, or the resin, I should say. I am going to use the clear UV resin as the glue for this little wine glass. So now I'm going to add the stem. And again, I'm not really touching the resin directly, but regardless, I should have had gloves on just in case it dropped on me. If you are using resin, it's very easy to take off of your fingers. I am not touching the resin there, but it is very easy to get off your fingers just with a little bit of alcohol. So I always have a little spray bottle with alcohol and some wipes with alcohol. Now I'm adding the stem to the stand. I guess you call that the stand, the bottom of the wine glass, as you can see here. And I am doing it while I am exposing it to the UV light so that it hardens quickly, and I can stand it up in just a few seconds. I'm telling you, UV resin is fantastic. Again, just take precautions. I do wear a mask every time I work with resin, regardless of how small the project is, because I just don't want to expose myself. Now we need some wine in these wine glasses. And again, remember to wear your gloves. I forgot to do that here, but all I'm doing is adding a little bit of wine or UV resin in the little glass. And now I'm going to mix purple and red dye to the UV resin. First I added purple and it was like, oh my goodness, it's too purple, it's too dark. And now I'm adding a little bit of red, and that was just the perfect combination. I should have done this in a mixing bowl first, a little mixing bowl, and then added it to the glass, but it worked either way. I did clean the edges of the glass, as you can see here, with a cotton swab dipped in alcohol, and it worked just fine. So now all I have to do is expose this once again to the UV light so that it'll harden and it'll look like there's wine inside of this wine glass. I'm really so happy with how this project is turning out so far. So now this is the reason I'm making this tiny teeny little wine glass, not just for the fun of it, although it was fun and it's adorable, but because I thought it would be cute to make a wine aficionado's Christmas ornament, because it's still July, so it's Christmas in July. So I thought this would be a fun, rustic little wine ornament or charm, whatever you want. You can even use this. Wouldn't this be lovely when you see it at the end? You'll see it at the end. I think this is even cute, like instead of using a bow, putting this on a bottle of wine. Oh my goodness. Like as a gift for someone, oh, they'll love it. If they like wine, they'll like this. I think they will. I like it anyway. So what am I doing here? I'm using one of these wood slices that I had left over from when I bought them for 90% off at Hobby Lobby. I added a piece of, I need a table. I need a little table or a shelf or something. So I added a piece of, what is that? A tongue depressor or a popsicle stick? I guess you guys call it popsicle sticks. I remember them as tongue depressors. Anyway, either way, now I am covering it with a little piece of a green velvet ribbon that I had. So I couldn't figure out what color to use. I was going to use like that green gingham that you see at the bottom, but I thought it needed something a little more classy if it was going to be used for a Christmas ornament. So green velvet all the way. Now I am just going to glue down my little wine glass. It is adorable. I love it. Now I want to make more of them. I want to sit here and just make little wine glasses. Once I add my wine glass, now I need to add some greenery. So I was trying to figure things out how I was going to decorate this. And in the end, I decided to use these purple, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're these little purple beaded flowers or beads or whatever you want to call it. And I thought they were perfect as a miniature grapes. So if you have these, you can use these as miniature grapes. And of course, you can get these at the Dollar Tree. And I love the coloring of the leaves that it had as well. I love that olive green, so I thought I would just use these leaves instead of those other bright green leaves. And now I'm just going to decorate with these lovely little clusters that look just like miniature grapes. I think this is so adorable. I never thought of using this before as grapes, but now I know for if I do any miniature houses or anything, what a perfect way to make little grapes with these little leaves and these little clusters. Now, that's as though that's not enough, I'm also going to add these beautiful, I think they're made of paper roses. Paper roses. You remember that song from the 70s? Was it Marie Osmond that sang that song? I don't know, but I always remember that song, Paper Roses. So these miniature red burgundy paper roses, I think, are just going to add even more of a romantic element, as well as, you know, making it a little more Christmassy. I just love that. It's very romantic. It's the time of wine and roses. Isn't that what it's called? Anyway. So here's the time of wine and roses ornament just for you. So I hope you try to make this. I love this, and I'm definitely going to make more for Christmas gifts. Now, let's take a final look.
A pair of scissors, a roll of twine. Your laughter blends with the clink of wine. Glue on fingers, glitter on the floor. Who could ask for anything more? Cut and fold, sip and laugh. Time's a thief, but we've outlasted its grasp. Crafting in cabinet, what a perfect way to spend these fleeting hours of our day. A little mess, a lot of cheer. Hearts are whole and friends are near.
Once again, I want to thank my co-host Brandy of Making It My Own DIY, Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, and Jody at Southern Seasons for joining me in this beer, burlap, wine, and whimsy challenge. And for all of those who joined our challenge this week, I thank you and raise a glass to each and every one of you. Thanks again for stopping by, and if you enjoyed this, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure and enjoy a nice glass of wine with these crafts tonight.